Let's talk about something pretty wild. Imagine uploading a single YouTube video, and in just 2 weeks, it generates a life-changing amount of money. Now that sounds like something out of a movie, right? But it's a real, documented case study. So for this explainer, we're going to break down the exact AI-powered framework that made it all happen.
So let's just put the number out there. $36,000 from one video in just 2 weeks. Let that sink in for a second.
And to put that in perspective for us here, that's around 30 lakh rupees. That's the kind of number that can completely change the game for almost anyone.
I know, it sounds absolutely nuts, doesn't it? But you know, what's so fascinating here isn't just the amount of money, it's how it was done, in a way that feels surprisingly, well, doable.
Because here's the real kicker, the part that should get you excited. This was all done without a single person ever showing their face on camera. No expensive lights, no fancy microphone, no big ad budget. It was a faceless channel that basically popped up out of thin air.
Okay, so let's get into the proof, right? The channel is called Sleepless Historians, and it is the perfect case study for this whole AI-driven approach to creating content. And check out these stats, they're pretty staggering. In just 2 months, the channel blew up to over 400,000 subscribers. It hit 14 million total views, and yeah, it pulled in that $36,000 in a tiny 14-day window. Numbers like these, they don't happen by accident. They point to a system, a method that actually works.
So, what's the secret sauce? Well, it really seems to boil down to 3 simple things: valuable content, consistency, and the clever use of AI tools. It's this combination that suddenly makes it possible for pretty much anyone to try and replicate this, even if you're not some kind of tech genius.
So let's really dig into the mechanics of it all. Looking at their success, we can actually reverse engineer a simple 3-step framework. You can think of this as your personal blueprint for launching a similar AI-powered channel.
The process is super straightforward. First, you've got idea generation. Then you move on to script and content creation, and you finish it all off with automation and presentation. So let's break down that first step.
We can call this first stage the goldmine phase. This is so important. A huge mistake people make is they just jump right into making videos. But the real foundation of this strategy is finding and locking in your unique niche before you do anything else. So the magic trick here is to find a unique mix. You need to combine your personal passion, something you're genuinely into and know about, with a profitable niche. And a profitable niche is just a fancy way of saying a topic that already has a bunch of people who are hungry for it. Sleepless Historians, for example, they brilliantly merged history with sleep-focused, relaxing content.
That combination right there, that's the secret formula. When your personal interest crashes into market demand, you find that perfect sweet spot where you can build a really dedicated audience.
All right, moving on to step 2, the engine phase. This is where AI becomes your superpower. You're not just using it as a little helper tool, you're using it as a high-volume content engine.
With the right detailed prompts, you can get AI to generate incredibly long scripts. We're talking 15,000 words. That's enough for videos that are over an hour long. But here's the key. You can't just copy and paste. The goal is to guide the AI with your own unique voice, add your own details and perspective, and make the final script sound like you, not just another generic AI script.
So, you've got your script. Now it's time for the final step, what we're calling the showtime phase. This is where most of the production gets automated, which frees you up to focus on the things that actually make a video pop. You can use tools like CapCut to do a ton of the heavy lifting, like creating an AI voiceover and matching it up with relevant videos and images. Your job then shifts to being the creative director. You add the magic touches, the right sound effects, cool cinematic overlays, and this last one is absolutely crucial. You design an irresistible thumbnail. In fact, when we talk about what actually gets people to click on a video, the source material points to one single element as being way more important than all the others. How important? Well, about this much. And here it is. This is a huge insight from people who are crushing it on the platform. Your thumbnail is responsible for about 70% of your video success. It's the single biggest factor. If your thumbnail fails to grab attention, it doesn't matter how amazing your video is, because no one will ever see it.
Now, it's worth taking a step back for a second to really understand why this AI strategy is such a big deal. Because this is more than just a new cool way to make videos. For a lot of people, this is being seen as a real path to building wealth.
This whole framework kind of presents a choice. On one side, you have the familiar path.
the traditional 9-to-5 job. And on the other, you have this opportunity to leverage these new tools to build your own brand, your own influence, and potentially your own financial freedom.
Just imagine it for a second. A life where you don't dread Monday mornings, where you're actually earning a living from something you're passionate about. That possibility, that's what's getting so many people excited about these new methods.
So, the blueprint is right here. This case study shows exactly what's possible when you use these new AI tools in a smart way. And it really just leaves us all with one big question. What's your choice? Are you going to start or are you going to wait? The opportunity, well, it's right here, right now.